Everyone,
Yeah, everyone does exactly this. All right. You're recording? We're live.
we are live.
We're live.
The mic's hot.
Mic's hot.
Floor's lava.
What is up, Arise?
Hello.
How are we doing today? It is January 3rd. Happy New Year. I'm Jeremiah. I get to be the youth pastor at the South Shore location. I'm joined today by Ruben, our middle school director. How you doing today?
I am very, very great. We got through 2023. That's why I was sweating a little bit, but we got to sweat off. 2023 is over, and we are in officially 2024.
Awesome. Well, today we're talking a little bit about change. We get to talk about change because we're in the new year. So can you just share a little bit about some of the change that you've experienced in your life?
Yeah, so right now, the position that I'm in is middle school director, which is at the Brandon location, which is essentially right under Pastor Johnny. So like I'm being mentored by him, everything that he does, like I see what he's doing in his like leadership aspect. And that is the new growth step that I've been in. Before that, I was just a youth leader. I was involved, like I would go to the events, I would go to camp and stuff, but I wasn't as involved in the backgrounds of how service is done. Everything to think about to what goes into a service, like all those aspects are so different, and I'm learning that right now. So that's the steps that I've been doing right now.
Yeah. So this has been like a massive growth season for you.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. Would you say that for this season in particular, that this was something that you sought out, that you looked after, that you were searching for, or something that just kind of God placed in your lap and ended up here?
So I mentioned this in youth a little while ago, and it was like I knew my heart and like my passions were like in church. Like I knew I liked to be here. I knew I enjoyed it, but I didn't necessarily know my place.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it was that I was pushing it away because like I was always scared of the microphone. I was always scared to speak. I'm like, God, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And it was me pushing that away, I think, when God was trying to lead me to it.
Mm.
And so when I finally stepped into that, I was like, man, why didn't I do this sooner?
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't I do this sooner? So I think it's a mix of God having that new season ready for you, but you also pursuing it and you having to step into it.
Yeah. I think that's so good. I think that I've seen that certainly in my life and just the different things from relationships.
Yeah.
I think that there's a mix between, in every February we usually do a relationship series. We talk about what a good, healthy, godly relationship looks like.
Yeah.
And we usually say it's best to work on yourself first and get right with God yourself.
Right.
And then instead of just like pursuing relationships,
Exactly.
they'll never complete you.
Exactly.
And I think that's something similar where we can work for it and we can work for improvement and work to enter new seasons and find new stages in life. And some of them, they'll just be dropped in our lap.
Yeah.
Some of them, God will reward us for that work and that newness and he'll just drop it on us.
And that's kind of what I had to do. Like I had to reset my life because I was involved. I was doing a lot for God, but I wasn't being with God enough. And so I had to reset. I talked to Pastor Johnny. I stepped off the youth leadership team for about 3 months. Worship team, I also stepped down. And there were some other things I had to readjust to where it was just me and the Lord. So after that season, I was like, okay, God, like, I think I'm ready. And so I started taking those baby steps, having those conversations with those people that I needed to have them with, and slowly but surely working towards that to where I am now.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, in this new season, have you continued? How have you allowed like growth to continue? Like, how have you made a way for that?
So if you ever have worked or volunteered at a Rise for any period of time, you know you can't get comfortable for too long because they're always going to push you to do something uncomfortable. So I think just being in an environment of just like people around you wanting to push you more. And I think that's something that is for me, like unconsciously, that I'm already in this environment, and I wonder when I get to a place where I know I'm gonna be pushed to uncomfort, like when is the discipline gonna fall on me to now push myself to be uncomfortable? Because like right now, I feel like I was just kind of thrown in the water, and like there's so much to learn because of the people that I'm around.
Yeah.
But like at some point, I don't want to say I'm going to learn everything I can from them, but at some point, like the growth has to fall on me. Like I have to start listening to my own podcast or reading my own books and stuff like that.
It's
So
like graduating from high school to college.
yeah,
Because in high school, you've got your teachers, and a lot of them, they'll hold your hand a little bit, and they'll assign your homework, and they'll check your homework. Once you get to college, they don't do that anymore.
no,
You got to go read your textbook,
Yep.
and you got to go. You're responsible for your studies,
Yep.
and you're responsible. So that's really cool.
yeah. So I'm enjoying the moment now of like growing, but I'm like, oh man, I really got to start thinking in the future, like ahead, to be like, man, I really got to push myself to be uncomfortable and to grow.
And searching to find your own growth areas, and learning how to see the areas that you can improve in yourself,
Yep.
and thinking creatively as to how you can work to improve them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that Pastor Brent has this saying once in a while that he'll say from the stage. He'll say that they've looked at people that just end up spending all of their time in church to see who's going to be in ministry next.
Yeah.
Because people that just love being at church,
Yep.
they sometimes have a calling to ministry on their life, and so they'll just end up at church all the time.
Exactly. A calling that they didn't even know, that maybe they didn't even pursue, but it's like it's in them because they're already here.
And maybe they've even run from it. I ran from mine.
Same.
But I was here all the time. I just loved being here.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, God was like, wham,
Mm-hmm.
calling to ministry.
That's a word for somebody.
Come on.
If you love church, maybe you call it to ministry.
Pray about it.
Definitely.
Pray about it. And awesome. So in this newness, have you seen that you've become more disciplined? Has the newness pushed you to become more disciplined, or has your discipline sort of brought on new things, new avenues that God's bringing you into?
So
Bit of both.
So when it comes to like the disciplines, as far as like in my own life, I know that I have to lead myself well, because I know that I'm leading other people on Wednesdays and Sundays. So and I think this is just true in general, no matter where you lead, but like if you're in a position to where you're not leading other people, it's very hard to motivate yourself to lead yourself, because you're not setting an example outside of your normal environment. So for me, I realized that like, okay, these students are looking up to me. Even the leaders now, they're looking up to me. So I'm like, I really have to be on my A game to make sure that I'm doing what I need to do, being in my word, making sure that, I know why I believe what I believe. Because like, side note, I've been talking to like a Jehovah's Witness, and they have like, they know their stuff. They know their Bible. And I'm like, where is that? That God says this and that. So like, I'm really like studying that. And that's something that I'm learning, and I'm learning to love to learn. So it's just little things like that have been like really, really cool to see.
Yeah. I think that one thing there is like a perspective shift, right? Where sometimes we see ourselves not as leaders when in fact we are, because even as teenagers, and certainly as a youth leader, I looked up to you whenever I was in youth, and you were my youth leader, and even you guys now, if you're a teenager, the kids ministry looks up to you, your younger sibling looks up to you, your little cousin looks up to you, and so be conscious of what kind of what you're teaching them to do by your own actions, by your own habits, by your own disciplines, because your habits form you, and you're subconsciously forming the next generation behind you.
They're always watching,
and
even
so
if you don't see it.
Your habits today are forming their habits tomorrow, and so if we're not careful about the things, the little things we do that they pick up on somehow, that we're not even conscious of,
that's crazy.
Then we could start something amazing in them, or potentially less than amazing. What would you say to someone that's maybe looking to become more disciplined, searching for a new season? Maybe they're blaming God for their own like staleness, that they're not moving forward when they're failing in their disciplines. What would you say to someone like that?
Wow, that is actually a really good question, because I feel like we receive and we get as much of God as we want. So if you're in that state to where you're genuinely pursuing God and you feel like you hit a wall every single time, like, I would just encourage you to like literally just press in more, because God doesn't want that wall there in front of you. And like, this is true in anything. Like, I feel like when you really push yourself the most, like to try, like for tryouts, to get on a team, or like when you're studying for a test, like when you hit a wall, like that's how you know that you're just at the edge of that breakthrough that you want.
Yeah.
So like, if you're that person that is literally pursuing God or doing all these things to try to achieve something, and you hit a wall, like just keep pushing past further, because man, like it's just on the other side. You just can't see it.
Yeah. I like, because salvation is by faith and not by works. And we're talking a lot about discipline and habits and a lot of like works things, because salvation isn't by works. It's certainly by faith.
Yeah.
But our depth with God is a little bit by works. You know, it's a little bit by, we have to put the work in today so that we can be closer to God tomorrow, and we can and build these habits so that we can evangelize and set an example before the people that are watching us. And so sometimes it can be easy to hear you said you'll get as much of God as you want, really.
Yeah.
And I mean, yes, absolutely. And hope's not a strategy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not enough to just want God. You got to go do something about it. You know, you've got to go get in your scripture, go get in prayer, find a quiet time. Or something that really has helped me is just talking to people, your friends, your parents, your siblings, about who God is, about some interesting things that have been going on that God's been doing, or that you've been learning about. Because usually, and especially if you talk to like peers or people that are like your parents or mentors to you, they'll speak into it, and they've got these little nuggets of wisdom that you can cling to.
Yeah.
And those are the things that'll just push you so much deeper in your faith.
And you would have never found those nuggets if you weren't like digging. Like, they may not come up to you and give you that stuff.
Yeah.
That's tweetable. I don't know what I just said.
Come on. You would have never found those nuggets if you weren't digging.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like
extended metaphors.
Right?
Yeah.
Because like, I feel like my older relatives, like they have things to give, but a lot of times, like if you go to like an event, like they're just kind of like sitting there, like waiting for someone to approach them. Because then when you start like digging into their brain, then it's like, oh, that's when they realize that they can share this piece of wisdom that they had because of what you're going through or because of what you're saying. So, start that conversation, get that nugget.
Go digging. Well, awesome. That's all the time we have for today.
Cool.
Ruben, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us.
Yeah.
Speaking, and we'll see you on next Wednesday, January 10th.
Yep.
Tourist night.
Let's go.
Dress nice and tacky. I want to see the hats, socks and sandals, whatever it is. Get some floral patterned shirts.
Yep. Best prize wins some money.
Best one wins some money.
Yep.
So be there, dress nice and tacky. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Peace out. Let's go.